Warning, this is a woo-woo out there video. I was reading Super Gene, one of my favorite stories, and I just went through a chapter called Deadly Kicks, where a teacher of something called Deadly Kicks is talking about how he's not very happy with his current student because he developed this martial arts known as Deadly Kicks while he was part of the military, and it was developed in life or death situations, and the essence of the techniques really relied upon that life or death cultivation in order to really get the essence of the techniques, bravery being a key component of it. I found myself thinking a little bit about noobs when it comes to League of Legends and how they could gain a lot from this concept of, bravery and developing themselves through life or death challenges, a proper challenge. But now to get to the woo-woo side of things, now that I've mentioned Super Gene and League of Legends. Woo-woo. The other thing I found myself thinking about during this chapter is manifestation and magic, or the occult. The teacher recognizes that the main character is somebody who has honed his skill clearly through life and death situations. This is also, mind you, a theme that crops up in another story that is a lot more popular, Solo Leveling. Solo Leveling has a theme throughout the early story where the main character is weak and constantly on the verge of death because he's just fighting for his life. And this is where he develops his skills. In the same way, I got to thinking about the occult and manifesting, and some of the times that I have learned the most or experienced the most in my manifestation occult journey, and they've been not necessarily life or death situations, but it's been situations where I've been either homeless or on the verge of being homeless, or when I make crazy leaps to follow a calling to move to Michigan for a year with little to no idea, man, I'm a jumpy, how I was going to make it work. I didn't have a plan. I didn't have a job lined up. I hardly had enough money to pay for my first month's rent after buying a plane ticket. And these were the areas of my life where I was able to develop the occult or manifestation type powers the most successfully, is down in the trenches when shit got real. One of the few times I've ever tried to manifest a meal, I was at a point where I had no money, I didn't have a job, and I didn't have any idea where my next meal was going to come from. I was planning on selling my car and moving to Michigan at this point, so I had the money soon to try and start another life elsewhere. However, at least for the time being, while I was waiting to actually make the trip to Michigan, because there was I want to say month period where I was living in my car before moving to Michigan, I decided, fuck it, let's try and manifest a meal. Just why not? What's the worst that could happen? I fail, and 30 minutes into this practice, I got a message from an old friend who invited me over for dinner that they wanted to make for me. I learned this in the closest thing to a life or death situation I could find myself in. So, yeah, don't be afraid to get into the trenches. You don't need to be safe to develop these powers. Take this with a grain of salt. I am my own person. I've made my own decisions, and while you might choose to make some big leaps, you need to do so having faith. Because if you make these leaps of faith without faith, you're going to come out traumatized as opposed to infinitely more faithful. But if you can make these leaps of faith with faith, oh boy, the amount of faith you come out of such circumstances with is astounding. I wish you luck, much love, all that good stuff. Super Gene's a good story. You should go read it. I love you all. Peace.